Hello, Barbara. How's it going? Thank you so much for being here at the Empathic Leadership Summit. I'm delighted to have you. How are you today?
I am doing splendidly, and I am very happy and grateful to be here as well. So thank you so much, Sinead.
Excellent, excellent. I'm delighted. So tell us a bit about yourself. I know you have lots of titles and you don't like to be boxed in, isn't that right?
Yes, that is absolutely right. So I am Barbara with an E and not with three A's, which is already unique and unusual. And I am a transformation guide and a soul igniter for people who are ready to step into the driver's seat of their life with a clear vision of who they are and what they want, and a step-by-step action plan on how to actually turn that vision into their current reality. So what I do is I help them to be their authentic spiritual self, get really clear on what they want, what they need, and what is really important to them. And then I help them to break through everything that is holding them back from having that life and being that person, so that they can finally step into their zone of genius, turn their passion into profit, and live the life that they love and deserve. So if you identify with words as a black sheep or a rebel or a trailblazer, weird, strange, misfit, different, unicorn, unique, I can go on, but I'll stop here, then you are probably my kind of person. And I discovered I'm a multi-potentialite, which means that I have many different interests, many different passions. And in a world that always tells you to be good at one thing, to pursue one thing, to help one specific type of person, to have one specific type of offer, so that you can have one specific type of marketing and branding, has never fit me.
Mm.
So a part of my journey of self-discovery is discovering I'm a multi-potentialite and that I am meant to have many different interests, which I pursue for as long as they provide me with something I need. So that means it's okay to not read a book till the end. It's okay to not do a course until the end, because I stop when I've gotten out of it what
Mm.
I actually need. And then my unique talents are combining everything that I've done, all the healing modalities that I've done, all the coaching modalities, all the other things that I've ever done in my life, into something that I can tailor make to the people that I am actually helping.
Okay, wow. Amazing, amazing. I love all of that. I think my work and your work is very much aligned. I think we discovered that before. We have
Yes.
very similar take on things. And I love that. I love that you don't have to finish a book. It's okay. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it's a simple example, but it's okay. Like follow your learning journey. Fantastic. So before we dive in further, tell me about your experience, maybe in your own career, in your own life of
Hmm.
empathic leadership or lack thereof. What's your
Yes.
experience been?
Well, I, like most highly sensitive people, got told that I was too sensitive and that I took things too personal and that I really needed to grow a thicker skin. And I was bullied at school and I didn't have a very pleasant home life situation. So the combinedness of all of that made me feel like I couldn't be who I am and that there was something wrong with me. For a
Mm.
long time, I seriously thought there was something wrong with me and that I needed to fix it.
Mm.
And that made me turn away from who I really am in order to sometimes be liked, sometimes to have friends, sometimes to get the job that I wanted, or be a good daughter, do what is expected of you, be a good daughter-in-law, be a good girlfriend, all of those things. But I never really sort of stopped to consider, what do I want?
Mm.
What is really my journey? And it felt like I was one of those balls in a pinball machine, right? And I kept being flipped from that side to that side to that side, up and down and left and right and up and down and
Yeah,
left and right. And
great
that was
description. Yeah.
how my life felt. And it was a string of events happening that left me shattered and broken in the end, in a very deep burnout, because I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't live up to other people's expectations anymore. I couldn't live a life that didn't give me joy, that didn't give me fulfillment, that didn't give me happiness,
Hmm.
without any clear purpose, without any direction, without knowing who I am. So
Okay.
this burnout, that was the worst thing to have happened to me at that time, turned out to be a blessing in disguise,
Mm.
where I realized that I am a very autonomous and leadership type of person where you can tell me what you need done and by which time you need it done. And then you can trust that I not only have that done, but 50 other things that I came across along the way, and then to perfection, because that is who I am. But
Okay.
the working world, many bosses cannot trust in their employees, and they try to micromanage everything, and they try to put you in a box. And well, yeah, I do not fit in a box. But it took me a long time to not only realize that, it took me maybe even longer to accept it, to embrace it, and to start loving it, to now seeing it as the most wonderful thing about myself.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Oh, I love it. I kind of have goosebumps because it's just such a similar experience that I've had myself. You know, it's that I love that pinball where you're like thrown around and then you're responding and reacting and trying to please others. Did you have any positive experience? Was there anyone that was empathetic towards you in
Well,
terms of
for
maybe your work setting or otherwise?
For a very long time, no. So
Okay.
that contributed to my burnout. Also, the family stuff. I didn't have any family in the end, and
Okay.
I didn't have many friends anymore because I was stuck in a relationship with a very abusive man
Mhm.
after I had fled my home for my own safety. So I sort of went from one bad thing into an even worse situation. And I wasn't prepared for it. And I didn't have anyone there for me because I wasn't in contact with my family anymore. And this person had made sure of that. I didn't know at the time, but later I found out he was a large part instrumental in that. He was
Wow.
also a large part instrumental in me losing all of my friends because he wanted me for him. So he wanted to completely claim me, own me, and have me. And for a while, he succeeded until I reached a point where I thought, I cannot take this anymore. Even living in a box under a bridge, being homeless without a job is better than
Wow.
this.
Mm.
And that was really difficult. This was before the burnout, even. And I left.
Wow.
And it was
That's
a really
amazing.
rough period. And I ended up in the same city as where an uncle of mine lived, the
Right.
oldest brother of my mother. And we happened upon each other one day. And he was like, "Oh my God, how have you been?" And he had always been the uncle that I related to the most. But I know now he also stepped into a very difficult life with very difficult situations and things happening. And he just didn't think to reach out to me when I lost contact with my parents. We have never been a very close-knit family. We've always been
Okay.
more of an, yeah, independent type
Sure.
of family. And we started talking, and we talked and we talked and we talked, and it was well past midnight, deep into the night, and it was eye-opening. And I discovered that he is a highly sensitive person, just like me.
Right. Okay.
And from that moment on, we renewed our bond, and I still see him regularly. He's about the only person in my family who understands me and who's
Okay.
always been there for me since the moment that we reconnected.
Wow. Isn't that just beautiful that there is
Yes.
that one person in all of that difficulty that had the empathy to show you that you could relate to. And I
Yes.
think we all probably have that HSP relative, you know, because it does tend to be hereditary that there is another HSP somewhere in your
Oh, yeah.
family.
It
I
is
see that.
hereditary, so you
Yeah.
always get it from your parents, even when it's not obvious. Because
Yeah.
I remember when
Exactly.
I discovered it, it was by accident. It was my boss telling me, "Oh, but you are an HSP because you're exactly like my wife. My wife is one, so you
All
must
right.
be
Okay.
one."
Very good.
And I didn't even know if I had to feel offended, right? Because I had no clue what he was calling me. So I thought, well, okay, I need to look this up. And that's how I discovered it. And I went home to my mom and I said to my mom, "Mom, I finally figured out what is wrong with me." Because I still thought there was something
That
wrong
was
with me
the
at that
yeah.
point, right? And I said, "I am a highly sensitive person." And she said, "Yes, child, I know. I am one too, but that's not something to be proud of."
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
I was like, whoa, okay,
Okay.
why not? And it took me a while to understand it, but uh, I come from a country where the Second World War was actively fought, and people saw people who were different from other people being deported. and being sent to their death, or being otherwise tormented or harm come to them. So my grandmother saw that my mother was different from other people and thought that that was a bad thing.
Mm.
And she told my mother to be just like everybody else because she wanted to protect my mother. And she honestly thought that if you were just like everybody else, that your life would be easier.
Easier. Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible story. And it just really points to the legacy and the different generational lens that people have in terms of, one family's experience and what that's passed on and how to be and how we should be. And I think that HSPs always suffer when we go into should land, as I call it. Isn't that right? Like where we're trying to emulate something that isn't natural. So that must have been quite the discovery for you. Did you try to respond like, or rather, how did you respond to your mother in that moment?
I don't know. I think I was flabbergasted. I
Hmm.
think I was taken aback, and I honestly didn't really know. So I think it was something like, okay. That's what I think, because more than that, I honestly don't remember. But my mother has since then told me that she's learning a lot from me, and that I've been teaching her a lot about herself, and that she feels very fortunate that I am walking this path, and that she can now see herself in a different light. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's part of the big why behind my own channel, my own TV shows. There was nothing when I discovered all of this, and it was a very long road and a painful road at times. And
Yeah.
I lost many, many people in my life that were dear to me. And I want people to know that they are not weird, and that, well, of course, you're weird and you're strange, but not in the way that you were thinking, right? You're
Yeah.
not weird and there's something wrong with you. You're weird and you're wonderfully strange, but that's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Magic. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Wow, that's such a beautiful message that you have, like, and thank you for sharing the source of that. Like, that's incredible. So if we take all of that and point it towards discovering your soul's purpose and mission,
Mhm.
where would someone begin?
Well, for me, it really came to be when I discovered the ins and outs about what I call my user manual. I created also for clients when they come to me for the first time. It's called the BU by Design Blueprint. And it's a combination of human design and the gene keys, because those together,
Okay,
for
fantastic.
me, are the things that really pointed me in the right direction. And for the record, I've done lots of different healing modalities. I am proficient in 6 different energy healing modalities, 5 different coaching modalities. I can do emotional release things. I can do EFT tapping. So I've done a wide range of things. I've
Amazing.
also looked into the Enneagram, into the Myers-Briggs personality testing, so I really have done a lot. And I think all of it gave you little bits of your puzzle,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
nothing really answered every single one of my questions than these 2 systems combined. And for me, the human design system is very much the yang, where you really get insights. I learned about that I'm a manifesting generator, which is the multi-potentialite we talked about earlier. And
Yeah.
so I am meant to have many different interests and passions and follow them all. And this is my unique strength. And I can manifest things in life, and I have the energy to see them through until the end. So that's really powerful knowledge to have.
Yeah. Wow.
I also discovered my profile, which for me is a 6-3 profile. The sixth line is that of the teacher, the visionary teacher, the leadership teacher.
Mhm.
And that is a very challenging path. It has 3 phases, where in the first 30 years of your life, you go through life as a 3 line. But my second number is already a 3. So that means that the first 30 years of my life, I was a double 3. And then you think, well, what's the significance of that? Well, the significance is that the third line is the line of trial and error. It's about hitting your face and discovering many, 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 many ways in which to not do things, and lots and lots and lots of lessons learned, and lots of trials, lots of errors, lots of heartache, hardships, and then in my case, double in the first 30 years of my life. And that explained why my life have been so tough, because everybody who learns about my life and the extent of it is like, oh my God, how is this possible? So
Yes, you're so
much.
strong. You're so grounded now and directional in what you want. It really is
Yes.
impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love to learn about all of this. I don't have the same knowledge on human design that you do, but I'm a 6'2".
Oh
So,
yeah,
I kind of have a
share.
little bit of understanding that,
Yeah.
by the time I'm 50, everything will be clear. Is that right?
Well, sort of, right? So the first 30 years about learning your lessons and trying and erroring and such, for you as well. But you are a bit also challenged in it by your second line number, because that's the line of the introvert, of the hermit, who
Yeah,
doesn't want to people.
yeah,
But as a
yeah,
sixth line, as a teacher, you need to teach people, so you have to
yeah.
people.
So finding that balance all the time is
Yeah,
is my challenge indeed. And that sounds
exactly.
very accurate.
And then the second phase is roughly, so this is not precise, but roughly 30 to 50. This is either compared with going on the roof or going on the mountain.
Mm.
It's when you start licking your wounds and you start learning everything about yourself that you can, and you start healing, and you start making aha connections, and really coming into you, into who you are, into embodying your gifts, your talents, but also facing your shadows, doing your shadow work, your inner child healing, all of it, until you have mastered you.
Yeah.
You've mastered who you truly are, and then you are ready to come down the mountain, which indeed generally happens around 50. And then you can step into that visionary teaching leader role that you are meant to be having here.
Right. Okay. Wow. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I'm on the mountain right now, it seems.
Yes.
Maybe that's why I've called all these incredible people around me to teach me so much. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So your knowledge is so deep on all these different modalities. It's incredible. So, for those of us who don't have all these modalities, right? Can we break it down a little to what would be the first step, in your opinion, for someone really trying to lean in and connect with their soul purpose or their mission?
Mhm. Well, I think at the core of everything is a deep connection to self. Most of us are
Agreed.
extremely disconnected from ourselves. That's also how I ended up in the burnout. It's either not recognizing the signals, or recognizing them too late and not knowing what to do about it. So it's a combination of those things, and it's usually because we are disconnected from our body, because for a long time our mind was the thing that was promoted, and we see that everywhere in education and school. It's
Absolutely.
all about facts and goals and very masculine energy of goal setting and
Mm.
action taking, and there isn't a lot of room for the more feminine energy, which is intuition and trust and nature and guidance by things you cannot see as
Yeah.
clearly as I can see you or you can see me.
Yeah.
So that is where we are shifting towards, and it starts with connecting with yourself, with your body. Two very, very important elements in that. I created a rescue kit where they are in. It's breathing. Most of us, we breathe from up here, so breath work is a very important place to start, where you consciously start moving your breath into your belly to create a deep belly breath, so that you can connect to your core, which is roughly around your navel, slightly under. So that area is where your core is, your power, your center,
Yeah.
your inner knowing, your intuition. And that's the second thing, right? We've moved away from our intuition, from that gut feeling, that instant recognition and in the body of ooh or ah.
Yeah.
And if we are connected enough and present enough, we can feel this. It's our internal compass. It's what shows us the way, if we know what to look out for and how to listen to it. And if we trust in that, it never steers us wrong. So the breath is an important thing to connect yourself. And then the second thing is really grounding. And you said it already, you are incredibly grounded.
Mm.
And that is what is necessary. And I like to combine or compare that with a very old tree. Let's say
Yeah.
you have a tree of 100 years or more. You can imagine it, right? Majestic, big, strong, powerful, big tree. That's us. Now imagine if that tree didn't have any roots.
Mm.
What would happen? Or maybe a flimsy root,
Yeah.
barely enough to keep it alive. What would happen to that tree if a storm or a tornado would hit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be left standing,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what happens when we are not grounded. And the storms and the tornadoes are then the things that happen in everyday life, the unexpected accident of someone, or the loss of something, or firing, or even falling on your face because you missed a step, or, you know, all of these things that impact us. These are little or big or catastrophic storms. And when we are grounded, when we have firmly connected us to the earth, it helps us to weather the storms.
Well, the
It
storm.
helps us to maybe lean into it a bit because we don't want to offer too much resistance. And then when it's gone, you know, we right ourselves again, and then we can go on. That is what proper grounding, among other things, does for us. It can also help you regain control over your emotions, or have more control over your emotions when you have to stand on a stage giving a speech, or talk to your manager because it's your yearly review, or, you know, these
But
things that are exciting.
in fact, like it's a beautiful, I'm just thinking about that majestic tree in the context of empathic leadership. And really, if we have more empathy in our leadership, if our leaders showed more empathy, it actually cultivates, or at least it aids and encourages that grounding. Whereas I
Yes.
think where it's when it's absent, the roots have no chance to ground. You know, there's that tree is going to be more shaky. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I've seen that a lot when I was still working in corporate, especially here. I don't cannot speak on sorry, on other countries, but here, people have been promoted to manager because they were senior developer, for instance. I worked in IT, so then a senior developer who's usually autistic, or just not really great at communicating, all of a sudden gets a manager role and needs to manage an entire department of his peers, which is not something that he particularly wanted, but it was the next logical step in his
Yeah.
career, for whom I then think, not for him, but so he is in that position. But when you have an empathic leader, when you have an empathic manager, he or she already signals things before you are even aware of it, because they are in tune with you. This means that they are very well adapted at sooner signaling when to stand in, or when to have a talk, or maybe send you to a course, or maybe on a different project, or other things. It also makes it a lot easier to talk to such a person, to share, and maybe they could even be in a sort of mentoring guidance position where they can help you discover what's going on, so that you understand yourself a lot better.
Absolutely. Like that's you've just outlined it beautifully, you know, just all the benefits of having that empathic leader rather than the person who may well be technically brilliant, but the role of leader isn't possibly isn't aligned with that person. So
Yes.
then that person is not so grounded. So then the people they're trying to lead are not so grounded, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, thank you so much. That's a really clear analogy, I think, that hopefully people will benefit from. I could talk to you all day, Barbara. Like you have so much to teach us, and thank you so much for all of your insights. Do you have some resources, I think, that are attached below? What resource are you offering out to our attendees?
Well, I have a free roadmap. It's an ebook that I wrote. It's called The Roadmap to Living a Life You Love. I know it's quite long. I try to make it shorter, but that's the essence of it. It's
Okay.
the road to living a life you love. So I really couldn't make it shorter. But it's the 5-step process that I have identified of steps to take to get to living a life that you genuinely love. Because most of us are not happy in the work that we are doing, and in the role that we are fulfilling. And in general, that starts with getting to know yourself, but there are more steps involved. So that is the free gift that I have to everybody. And if you saw this program or this show today, this episode, and you want one of the blueprints that I create, where I combine human design and the gene keys, then email me and I will give you a special discount on it.
Fantastic. I love that. Thanks for that, Barbara. Amazing. Listen, thanks for your time and energy today. An absolute pleasure.
It was a pleasure talking with you, Sinead. We can always talk for hours and hours.
Hours,
So
hours.
thank you so much for
Take
the
care, Barbara.
opportunity.
Goodbye. Cheerio.